Welcome to the MRO Exchange, Connecting Healthcare Executives, your go-to podcast for staying informed in the dynamic healthcare world, where MRO discusses industry trends and topics with prominent healthcare leaders. In each episode, we delve into the intricate landscape of the U.S. healthcare system, shining a light on the immense responsibility shouldered by providers to effectively acquire, manage, and share clinical data with data consumers. Join MRO experts and healthcare executives as they navigate the important dynamics within this highly complex environment. From the surge in healthcare ecosystem demands to the influx of structured and unstructured data scattered across diverse systems, along with the ever-growing compliance, security, and privacy expectations, the MRO Exchange, Connecting Healthcare Executives, unravels it all for you. Tune in for a comprehensive exploration of the pressing issues shaping the healthcare industry today.
We have this session is going to be HIM Live, what I like to call it, a real-life discussion about the path to outsourcing release of information. Why should you have a vendor? Why should you have a partner? What should that look like? Have you guys ever seen The View? So kind of set us up like The View, and we just are going to have a discussion about it. But I want you guys to also be involved and ask questions and responses and comments. I've got three very special guests that I'm going to introduce here shortly, and we really are going to talk about outsourcing that release of information function. It's been a core HIM function for as long as we can remember, right? Since forever. It's changed a lot over time. It used to be HIM had all the control, and now HIM doesn't necessarily have control, like much of the control over release of information. Because now you have to think about breaches, and you think about legal, and you have to think about compliance, and then IT's involved because a lot of our information is electronic. So we're thinking about all of these things. All right, I'm going to start with you, Cheryl. Although Cheryl earlier told me she was going to be Joy Behar today from The View, so.
I like to act out, so she's really good about that. So, okay, my name is Cheryl Doudican. I'm the director administrative director of Health Information Services at OU Health Center, which is part of Oklahoma University. So we actually have been with MRO for about 2 years now, a little over 2 years, and I would like to share my story with you guys when it's time to share that. So anyway, nice to meet you. Glad for being here.
Go ahead, Karla.
Hi, everybody. Karla Viruet. I am the operations manager for the Valley Hospital in New Jersey. I've been with MRO for 14 years, and I have been in the business for about a little over 25 years. I do oversee ROI in my area, and we only do hospital-based, so got a lot of stories to share with you.
So I'm Shandra, Crayton-Artis, and I'm one of the HIM directors at UC Health in Colorado. We've been with MRO for about 6 years now. I was not there for the inception of it. However, I've been working with them pretty diligently for about the last year and a half. They will tell you that when I first came, we had a lot to talk about, and we've done a lot of good work, I think, over the last 18 months, and so great partnership. I'll tell you more about our journey in a minute.
Thank you, ladies. Welcome. All right, we're going to dive into some questions, and if you guys have any other questions, I'm sure they would love to answer them. So first, what drove you and your organization to outsource or consider a new vendor for ROI? Who wants to take it first?
I'll take it first. Okay, for OU Health, we were in the process of making the transition to Epic, and we're a state hospital system. We have a medical school, the big university, health sciences center. It's a beast. OU is a beast. And so we were switching to a different EMR, and we also wanted to switch to a vendor that could accommodate centralization of release of information, because we wanted to pull that in from the provider or the ambulatory side as well as the hospital side. So that was one of our deciding things, and we weren't happy with our vendor that we had before. We had many issues that came up, to where we really need to make a change. So I think you can go with your gut when that happens, and so I'm glad that we changed over. I really am. So,
Karla or Shandra, anything to add?
I can say I know our organization decided to outsource. We had outsourced before, but we were 100% outsourced essentially. And so the partnership that we have with MRO today is more of a shared model. So we do have a lot of our ROI release work done in-house, and then we have the supporting, I would say, system.
Back end, all the back end process.
Yes, processes with MRO. So they do our billing for us. As well as a lot of our shipping and all those kinds of things. And so, but as I understand it, because I wasn't there at the beginning, there was a lot of challenge with the prior vendor that we had in terms of just a lot of problems, as you said, really not having great communication and partnership when we were identifying that there were challenges. I will say, in MRO's defense, that has absolutely not been my experience. Whenever we've run up against, like she said, when we've come up against hurdles, honestly, the partnership has been everything for us. Being able to say, hey, we've got this challenge going on. They jump in and they help in every possible way that they can, and they've been super, super supportive. So to agree with you, I would say we made the right move. Yeah.
Thank you, Shandra. Karla, do you have anything to add? Or?
So for us, I will say that my prior two vendors were very tough to deal with. And for me, for my organization, it's more, how long is it going to take for me to convince you that I want to make this change? We have a staffed model, which we really need because of the amount of requests that we receive. My staff actually still utilizes all of the applications as well. We do all of the stat requests. But for me, it was more of I needed the technology. I needed the ability to really be able to look at my requests, process them quickly, and I wasn't really getting that. And of course, the partnership is, I think, the number one thing for all of us, I would say, is that you have a goal, you let them know what your goals are, you work through them, and then you can actually fulfill all of your needs. Take some time, everything new takes time, but it's definitely worth your time.
Thank you, ladies. All right, I'm going to move on to the next question. And you might have answered this a little bit. What are some of the essential attributes of an ROI vendor that is a true partner to you? And I think we covered a little bit, right? It's communication, working through the days that are not rainbows and butterflies together.
I'd say trust is a huge factor,
yes.
to be perfectly honest. Our client director, her name is Javonda. I don't know where she's at. She's around here somewhere.
Oh, she's talking to somebody
she's
over
back
there.
Over in the corner. But I have to tell you, we've developed a level of trust with her that we know that she has our best interest at heart. And so when I go to her and I say, hey, I'm having a hard time getting, this data or whatever, she also partners with me and says, immediately she'll say, well, okay, so what do you need? What does that look like for you? She leans in to understand, and then she's after it, you know what I mean, which is great. I'm a data person. I need to see the data, and when I feel like the data is not telling us the right story, I reach out to Javonda and I say, hey, let's talk about this. There she is. She's waiting. But let's talk about this. And we work really hard to make sure that we come to an understanding about what we're seeing, right? What's the trends? And how do we impact these trends in the right way so that we meet compliance requirements and those kinds of things? But there is a level of trust that I would say that I've gained with our MRO partners, not just Javonda, but our MRO partners in general. Even coming to AHIMA, it's so funny because, all of them are like, how's it going? What do you need? What's going on? But they really do engage with us on a level that I think every single one of us in our leadership team appreciates. They're responsive. Because I'm a data lady and because I'm always thinking, they'll tell you, I'm always thinking. And so I'm always trying to figure out how we do this better, smarter, faster. They come right along with us. And so the optimizations that they're putting in place are aligned with what we've asked for, which I don't think you can ask for more when it comes to being able to be agile. Our organization has acquired a lot of facilities. And so we grow at a rate that is just ridiculous, and sometimes that means that we have to figure out how to grow together, and we've been able to do that with them.
Thank you. Karla, Cheryl, anything to add to the partnership attributes?
Yeah, the partnership is really, really important. And if you are in a situation now, because like I said, the partnership, they're so proactive with communicating almost over communicating. But I appreciate everything that they tell me and that I'm involved in. I don't know if any of you are in a situation now where you're outsourced or you have it in-house, but how many of you like someone calling the C-suite saying that ROI sucks and that they're not getting, especially like third-party payers, they're quick to go to the C-suite.
Yeah.
That's when you know you need to look at other options, because when it starts, when you feel like you're eating crow, that's when it's time to make the move. So, but the partnership to me is the biggest thing. I really appreciate that.
Okay.
I'd say for me, besides the partnership, is a communication. And I say communication because I want someone to hear me. I don't want to say, you know, this is what I want, this is what I need, this is what's happening, and they yes me to death. And then the next day, 10 years later, it's the same thing. I don't feel that that's happened with MRO. And I know from all of them that know me well, I'm going to ask you 1,000 questions. I'm going to give you 1,000 suggestions.
Yes.
So they're very, very, very good to me in that way. So, I mean, that in itself for me is a big thing. I have other vendors that I talk about, and I say, why are you doing it this way? Wouldn't this make more sense? We'll put that as an idea. Okay, I've been with my organization for almost 21 years, and I'm still waiting. So.
Good point. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Okay, next question. What key ROI criteria matters the most to your organization? So, you know, some things, what I mean here is like, is it the reliability of all the staff, right? But also like staffing and training and education support system, whether, regardless of what model you have, whether we're on site or whether we're shared like you are, technology, right? Where's that fit in? So, you know, what are your thoughts?
I'm not any good at this, but okay, so for us, our OU health system probably has close to 1,000 beds totally. We have a huge physician network as well as the hospital side, multiple hospital settings. When I came to OU Health, we had 45 different EMRs, 4-5. They were really bad about not doing bolt-ons and not necessarily something that was interfaced. So HIM had probably 25 extra staff that they didn't need because they kept having to add staff. So making the migration over to MRO was great because of the interaction or interoperability with Epic was a huge thing for us. That was going to be a really huge thing. So, but the dependability, like I said, I don't like anyone running to the C-suite over stuff. Come through me, don't go to the C-suite. And that's what was happening with the previous vendors. So the dependability and the communication is just really important for me.
Thank you.
For me and my organization, I will tell you 100% compliance is on the top of the list. You know, I don't care about the C-suite. I'm not afraid of the C-suite. I'm afraid of my legal team. So for me, it's please don't go to legal, come to me. And I think in that, compliance is, while a lot of these things are very important, would be one of the most important things for us. And, you know, we do have a good relationship with MRO that we can talk to them and say, this is what's happening. If something were to happen, how do we fix it moving forward? And then it happens and we feel more comfortable, but compliance for sure.
I'd certainly say compliance. I'd agree with that. And turnaround times obviously are really important. You know, we don't have, in the days of old, before we went with MRO, you know, their turnaround times were an issue. You know, at the end of the day, I know, and I do a lot of processing, you know, of releases. You know, I jump in and help the team and do all the things we need to do. And so I can see in real time what's happening. I know how quickly they turn this stuff around. I know that when I tell one of our patients, you should have this by, it's going to be right there, or one of our requesters. That's important, right? That I think feeds into the reliability factor of having some surety and being able to provide that information to your requesters to let them know we've got you covered. Yes, this is when you can expect it, and it's there, right? I don't have those follow-up calls where they're like, you said this was going to happen and it didn't. we don't have that issue with MRO, and so I do appreciate that. And then I'd say also to the integration and ability with our EMR. We are on Epic as well. And as I said, we've acquired a lot of locations as well. And so the integration with our systems and being able to understand the workflows between the two different systems, that's one of the other things that we've had to do. I've had to jump on calls because a lot of times, people go through cycles of training and what depending on when they came in, they may not always know what the steps are, and so they're skipping steps and things are happening and you're finding things that are kind of sitting in places where they shouldn't. And I'll say, hey, I think we need some help, we need some training, and so they'll quickly get a call on the schedule so that we can make sure that all of our people understand what they're supposed to be doing. We have tip sheets, we have information that helps to empower our staff with information that helps us to be more efficient. And all of that, I think, comes with just having a good vendor, a good relationship. They know their work, they know their systems, they know what we're trying to do, and they're responsive in helping us to understand how to do it the right way in partnership with them. So,
thank you. Okay. How do you set expectations internally with your superiors, right, and your peers on what your desired outcomes are for ROI, right? Because you have to work with us to help you achieve this. So are there challenges? Like, how does that communication work? So, it might be something, I don't know, let's say there's a technology that we want to implement. That has to get approved by certain levels. So what is your approach or how do you do that?
I'd say I'm a data person. I'll say that again. So Javonda, she's laughing. I am a data person. And so when I go to my leadership and, we have a need, the first thing I'm going to do is show you why. And oftentimes the data is going to tell, it's going to help to tell that story, and I don't care who you are, money talks, right? If there's a revenue component tied to that, and you can demonstrate that there's going to be a return on the investment, in terms of, what you're doing, I think that certainly helps. And for us also too, really just being able to demonstrate that, that our need is not something that, I'll back up and say, it's important to me that we internally leverage all of the tools that we can, right, to do the right things. When it's time for us to have to look externally for solutions like an MRO, obviously we've exhausted all of our resources internally. And so it really also is important when you're going to your leadership to say, we've done everything that we can. We've optimized everything that we can internally. And so now we're looking outside to figure out how we can better do this. I think that helps as well.
Yeah. With that. All right. So looking back today, what were the key outcomes that you can say, yes, this was successful and a good move to make?
Turnaround time was huge.
Mm-hmm.
And so the actual turnaround time, we're down, our average turnaround time is like 3 days. 3 to 7 is the goal, but 3 days. But turnaround time is huge. Mm-hmm. And just having a staff that even though it's outsourced, you're still over ROI. A lot of people think that once it's outsourced, it's gone. But to me, I'm just really very excited about all the data, and it's good data too. But even if it's data that I have questions about, just like you had said, MRO is just real responsive about manipulating the data for me to see deeper what was going on. So I'm just really very, very happy. So very.
I would say I agree with you on the turnaround time, but also the partnership and the trust. Technology, it's pretty much everything that you see on the slides. And depending on what our, all of our targets are, that kind of changes and shifts. But I think for me, best thing I ever did, I have no regrets. And I know that if I feel a certain way about something, I can easily communicate with them and we can fix whatever it is.
I've been in the industry for almost 20 years, and I started when I was 5. And So I've had experience working with other, release vendors, and the one thing I will say that I wholeheartedly appreciate is the engagement. It tells me we did make the right move here. We did make the right decision. This company is so engaged in our ability to meet the needs of our patients, our requesters, our compliance requirements. They are engaged with us. They feel like an extension of UC Health for us, very much so. When I'm concerned, they're concerned. When I have an issue, they have an issue, and they grab you by the arm and they run with you with that until we find a solution. So I think the engagement has been evidence of really that we made the right decision. This is a good partnership.
You guys are going to make me cry. By the way, I had no idea what they were going to say today. Like, our rehearsal was like, here are the questions. They're like, we got this. I'm like, okay. So, thank you. All right, I think this is our last question. Are there any final thoughts or key lessons learned you could share with everyone today who is thinking about outsourcing ROI either for the first time or changing vendors?
For me, I think looking at an outsource for a service, I always get so sad for staff that I may have to give up. I think that's probably the human side of all of us to think along those lines. But there are times when you just have to make a decision. What's going to be best for the direction that your facility is going towards. And many times those folks are offered a position with the company that you outsource to. But for me, it's like you got to do what's best for your facility, and you have to take that human component out and then never look back. So one of the best decisions I've made. So
thank you.
For me, I will say this. I walked into my place of work and no one had a computer in 2004. They had the black screen with the green blinking cursor.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Bling. And I said, wow, what is happening here? So I walked into my director's office and I said, I need 34 PCs. She's like, okay. I mean, honestly, I was shocked. And the point to my story is, don't wait, don't hesitate, right? If you really feel you need to make a change, I'm a rip off the Band-Aid type of person, all in or all out. So I would say that would be my advice in looking back, and best decision, like I said, but just do it.
Thank you.
I'd say if you're thinking about making changes, obviously you've got to assess what your organization's needs are. We have a kind of a hybrid model, I would say, and so we still have our staff in-house that do a lot of work, but I got to tell you, the relief that I feel of us not having to deal with shipping and billing and all of those things is phenomenal. I just have to tell you, it has made all the difference for us. It has lifted a lot of burden from us, and we still feel very much like we have the ability to have some control as well over what's going on with our releases and understanding, where we're at. And so for us, I think that has made all the difference. Again, they can handle it all. But, for us, really having that partner to handle the back end, and as well as just coming along with us in order to optimize what we're doing in partnership, technically, has been great. So I'd say if you are trying to figure out what to do, if you are having a lot of headaches in terms of just trying to deal with your release volumes, especially if you're dealing with the audits and the government audits and things that keep coming, and again, like Angela said, you don't know. You may have 40,000 dropped into your bucket and you're like, oh my goodness. And nobody runs out and hires 15 people because of a 40,000 audit, I think it's worth it at least to ask more questions. It's worth it to explore what they have to offer because they've been fantastic for us. So,
well, thank you. Well, I want to thank them for your time and for your partnership. MRO feels the exact same way about you. We appreciate your trust in us, and more years to come.
You've been listening to the MRO Exchange, where we connect healthcare execs For more insights and to hear other healthcare executives' exchanges, visit the show's page on MROcorp.com and be sure to explore additional resources and thought leadership articles. You can also check out the program page on healthcarenowradio.com. Finally, be sure to connect with us on LinkedIn or X at MRO Corp. Until we talk again, this is the MRO Exchange, where healthcare execs connect.